Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is March 27th, and I am going to give you another short walk around and catch you up on where I'm at on the build. So basically, I've still been continuing to work through the electrical, and I can kind of show you where we're at there. Let's see, we've got the steering turn signal set up from IE 427. Frank out in California provides a pretty nice little setup. So what I've done with this, just to catch everyone up, is there are two switches other than the turn signal. So obviously you'll use the turn signal stalk up and down to turn, engage the turn signals left and right. But there are two additional switches. So there's a momentary switch that you activate by pulling the stalk forward, and then there is a on-off switch on the side, kind of like the old GM cars used to have in the days of my childhood, that you can pull out. So what I've done is I've used this I Did It headlight dimming relay setup that will operate the high-low beams by basically pulling on this momentary. So when the headlights are off and the car is running, you'll pull this lever and you'll get essentially a flash to pass function. So the headlights will, high beams will come on, and as long as you're holding the stalk, you release it and they shut off. When you have the headlights on and you're driving with the headlights on, you use this stalk, you pull it out, and it'll simply toggle between high beams and low beams. So it's pretty slick setup. No foot switch like I did in my Cobra, which is kind of cumbersome actually. To get to. And then the switch on the side over here, I've got wired through this 8-pin relay. It's a double pole, double throw relay that I'm going to use to operate the hazard flasher. So when I pop that out, the hazards will come on. So pretty basic function there. I've wired everything into a Deutsch connector so I can make that easy to connect after the dash is in place. This turn signal setup will mount to the front of the dash in the instrument cluster area. So once you put the dash in, you'll slide this on and attach it. And I wanted an easy way to make all those connections. There's 7 wires coming out of here that operate, that tie into the I Did It relay and the double pull, double throw relay for the hazard. So I wanted an easy way to be able to just assemble that after the dash is in place, and that's what I've done there. Also, you'll see that pretty much all the main harness is bundled. It's kind of ugly. I'm probably going to go back and rework some of that just to clean it up. But I'm looking at the windshield wiper switch that's going to be mounted in the dash, the headlight switch, which will attach to this connector, mounted in the dash, the ignition switch, which these wires get tied to, and the horn. And that's all that's on the front of the dash. So those are all being laid out now. Down here in the extension panel, you'll see I have the wiring harness for the heater and air conditioner. So that's about where that switch is going to sit. There's the power and ground and a fan wire that are associated with that same harness. And then the Willwood electric park brake connector here. There will also be some additional switches that are going to go into this panel, this extension panel that ties into the bottom of the dash down to the transmission tunnel cover that I will be running. One for the driving lights and one for a vent actuator that I'm still working details on that will allow me to control the defroster vents, airflow to the defroster vents, or to be able to turn that off, which is not a standard feature on the kit. Also, the VHX controller, I've got all the indicators wires run. So all those wires on the top right green screw block, terminal block, feed indicator lights and things that go into the instrument cluster. And then along the bottom are where the sending units will attach. So I still have the oil sending unit, the water temperature sending unit, a dimmer switch, and a control switch that'll get tied into that. I'm not doing a cruise control in this car, so the speed the speedometer is all done through a GPS module, which is just up here, and the antenna is mounted to that and off, and that's going to go up on the center top of the dash when it's installed. So we'll have that where it gets clear signal. And let's see, we'll come around here. Front harness I haven't done anything more with yet, but I have been looking at where I'm going to bring the wiring in to tie into this plug for the windshield wiper motor. I'm probably going to try to get into a small area here where I had previously drilled the hole and bring the harness through there. Or I may have to come over to this side and then just run wiring back underneath. I got this motor a little bit close on the left, and I'm still not 100% sure where this panel here is going to be in its final position. It's close here, but certainly not exact where it's going to end up. So I'm nervous about drilling more holes where it might be a question. So I may just come over here to this side and bring the wiring out. It won't be a big deal. And then the heater control valve, I shortened the harness that goes from the thermostat, which is mounted up underneath here, up into the control valve itself. It had wires that were about 1 foot plus long, and it only needed to be about 3 or 4 inches long, so I shortened that. The rest of these wires are going to go through this top panel here down and tie into the harness that is mounted up underneath. You can see those wires loose here. That's where those will all get tied in together. And then the front of the foot box, I brought the rest of the harness for the heater and control setup, heater and AC setup. These wires here go to the trinary switch, which sits on top of the AC dryer, which is going to sit right in this location. It'll mount up underneath the frame here with the wires coming up off the top. And then the last two out here go to the AC compressor, which will be mounted down on this side of the engine. So those will probably get extended. I've got a harness that will tie into that compressor or plug into the compressor directly. So that's what will go on the end of that. Let's see, what else have I got that I can talk about today? I did add some access panels to this back interior panel. So these will allow me, when this is in place in the finished car, something more like this, it'll give me the ability to get to the taillight wiring, which can be a little bit tricky once the body's on the car. So I wanted to have the ability to do that. And I bought these really slick panels from Snakebite Motor Works. They're a 2-piece setup, so you have a ring that mounts to the back. I can show you that. And then the panel sits flush inside and attaches to that ring. So pretty nice setup, and this will all end up having a carpet over the top of this panel in the end, but these panels will still be accessible through that. And that's about all I have to talk about today. One more thing. I worked a little bit yesterday. We had beautiful warm weather, and I knocked down all the parting line ridges, which had these really tall, razor sharp, little fin-like edges. So I knocked all those down, cleaned all the clay out of them. There's some divots and pits and some other areas that once we start body work in this will need to be filled. But yeah, the body's pretty cleaned up now, and I got to do the hood still. I didn't take the hood outside yesterday, and it's yesterday was 92 degrees, today's 42 degrees, so big weather swing. Won't be doing outside work in the water today, but anyway, that's where we're at, and everything's still moving along smoothly and no big problems. And we'll talk to you guys again in another few weeks when I have more to show. Thanks, and keep watching. Talk to you later.